Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal back with a new Mr. Informal podcast. We are on the Mr. Informal podcast 231. I hope you are enjoying life. I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are staying safe wherever you are in the world. Again, my name is Mr. Informal. So, I just want to let you know, please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MisterInformal, and then check out my website, mrinformal.com, mrinformal.com. So, this is the Mr. Informal Podcast 231. What do we have on this podcast? Number one, a lot of Kpop, Korean music idols are ambassadors of the haute couture, the luxury wear. Number two, credit card debt is on the rise even before this Christmas holiday. Number three, Meta's Threads will add messaging. Similar to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. This goes on and on. Last but not least, phone features. Have you noticed that phones these days are having less and less features? Yeah, that's how the world's coming to. Not only that, they're also becoming more expensive. And so those are the four topics for this Mr. Informal Podcast 231. And so let's go ahead and start the podcast. On the first topic, we're talking about K-pop. I do listen to K-pop. Korean music artists, K-pop idols are becoming ambassadors, representatives for the haute couture such as Dior, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Fendi, Celine, Gucci, YSL, Tom Ford. The list goes on and on. Well, why is that? Why are these luxury brands picking K-pops? Well, number one is that K-pop is really popular right now, so people are just much more aware of it. Don't get me wrong, there's also a lot of artists, music artists, and even actors from different countries that are also brand ambassadors. It's not just Korea. It could also be Japan, Thailand, Brazil, especially France, let's not forget. But certainly you see a lot of K-pop idols representing the brand. And why is that? Well, look, if you are an idol in Korea, there are certain rules and policies that you must follow, and they are very strict. I'm not sure if you know, but K-pop idols are not banned, they're not barred, but they are not, I wouldn't say not allowed, but having to be cautious on having a date or having a boyfriend or girlfriend because of their busy schedule. Not only that, in Korea, the paparazzi are just absolutely insane over there. Rumors, pictures, it can tarnish an idol's reputation from 100 to 0. It can make a difference between your song being number one to not being successful at all. And so every record label is just telling every K-pop idol not to date, not to do this, not to do that. And so I guess K-pop idols are just easy to mold, and these brands know that these idols are not gonna get in trouble with the law. And so they just chose to say, hey, K-pop idols are easy because they're not getting in trouble. They do what they're supposed to do. I know it doesn't sound like they don't have freedom, but hey, that's it's the contract that you sign. Okay, if you don't like the contract, then you should have never signed it, and you would have never been a K-pop idol. It goes for everywhere. And And it's the same with the US. Whenever you get in trouble, a lot of brands pull out, just sponsorship, and everything just goes down. But certainly, there's a lot more K-pop idols these days representing the brand. But look, these K-pop idols, I don't mind it because hey, it's whatever getting their money. It doesn't really matter to me as long as they think they're getting their money, they like the brand, they represent the brand, and certainly you may have differs in different opinions, but these brands do like these idols because again, they don't get in trouble, they do what they're supposed to do. On to the second topic from retaildive.com, titled Credit Card Debt Tops $1 trillion before the holidays even arrive. Wow. Unbelievable. $1 trillion? Holiday shoppers this year may have less room on their credit cards and little enthusiasm for making that worse. In July, 61% of US consumers live paycheck to paycheck, 2 percentage points more than a year ago, according to a research from digital marketplace Bank Lending Club. More consumers of all income brackets reported that situation. Those researchers also found credit cards have helped U.S. consumers get through a couple of years' rising prices and buy retail sales for several months, but that also has helped push the collective balance to a record $1 trillion, according to New York Federal Reserve Bank as a quarter two report on household debt. Wow. And this is before Christmas holidays. I can't even imagine what would happen. Let me guess, it would be like $1.10 trillion, which is $1 trillion and 10 million. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how you would. Actually, I do. But, I mean, look, it's pretty obvious. I know everybody wants to buy each other gifts, their loved ones, their friends, strangers, for the kids. I mean, those who are not in great standing with their money. But look, I think it all just comes down to, and certainly the inflation did not help or does not help because inflation is still happening. Look, it all comes down to a person's budget. If you don't have the money to pay it off at once, don't even spend the money. Don't even buy it at all. If you think you'll have the money next month, sure. But honestly, it's just better to wait. It all comes down to a person's mindset here. And I know that everything is just becoming conglomerate and corporate. But the fact is that a person's actions is their own. If you want to live that way, do it. But there are consequences of that. But it certainly tells you that these kids are not being taught the right way, meaning they don't have people telling them, hey, you gotta save your money, or if you don't have the money right now, don't even buy it. You don't want to owe money. And I don't think these kids these days have that. Or, I mean, look, it may not even be kids. It could be like just people in general. The prices of auto loans are going up. Mortgage loans are going up. So people are living paycheck to paycheck. But to have this report and telling us that this is before the Christmas holiday, that is surprising. I mean, I know that I've said it's a person's mindset and that's all it comes down to. But there's also people out there who do live paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes they have emergencies such as medical expenses, such as family emergencies. Could be a funeral, it could be needing to go to see their parents because of what happened to them. I mean, it could be anything. Or it could be that paying off telephone bills via credit card, they don't have the money for it until the check clears. I mean, again, it could be anything. So, I mean, again, I'm hoping that the Christmas holidays doesn't break records instead of record sales. I think it should go down, but I mean, it's a give or take. I mean, if that happens, certainly the economy is not doing good. I mean, but if people are spending, I mean, people are taking on more debt than they should have, or they should be. On to the third topic from socialmediatoday.com. So titled, Threads looks to be developing its own messaging option. Interesting. So, this is basically, in other words, all of your messaging from each app will be viewable across any platform. So you can message somebody on WhatsApp, from Instagram, send a messenger DM to a person on WhatsApp. Basically, the metaverse. Everything is all in one. Shouldn't say one app, but most likely in one ecosystem. Very similar to Apple, but this is a software instead of hardware. With this in mind, Meta initially seemed to want to keep its DMs within its existing system, as adding another inbox into mix lightly complicate things a fair bit. But as it works to become a bigger rival to Twitter or X and facilitate broader usage, DMs remain a much requested addition, which could mean that Threads has to add DMs in order to tick all the boxes. Though there has no been official confirmation as of yet. As noted, Instagram chief Adam Mosseri has seemed fairly hesitant on the DM front, though his wording around such has softened in recent weeks. I mean, it's pretty obvious. They will have direct messaging. They're going to have a messaging option because they want to compete with X. Twitter has the same messaging. I mean, what else it could be? But here we go again. Okay? Does Mark Zuckerberg even know what he wants in the metaverse? So you have WhatsApp that is basically a messaging, communication and messaging only applications. Got Instagram that is a journal, social media. It also has messaging option, but and also sharing pictures and other videos too. Okay, then you have Facebook, which is basically everything except Facebook. You have to be a person's friend to basically see everything. Okay, and then you have Threads, which is just like an opinionated post or social media post. That's all it is, similar to Twitter or X. So, I mean, there are some overlaps here. I mean, if I was Zuckerberg, I would have just kept Instagram, and then that's it. No need for Threads. I mean, isn't that what Instagram is already doing? Even though Instagram has pictures, that's the only difference. I mean, if you take out the pictures from Instagram, I mean, pictures and videos from Instagram, I mean, there you go. You have Threads. I mean, look, I already know Mr. Zuckerberg has a huge pride, has a huge head, has a huge, he thinks he thinks he can do it all, but it's pretty obvious that this is his own doing. And honestly, for me, I really do want Threads to fail, just so I can see him be humble. Because, he loves taking people's data. And it's pretty obvious there's a lot of bots in Threads. I mean, same thing with Twitter. But I mean, you have different messaging options in the metaverse. How many options does Zuckerberg needs? I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, sooner or later, Insta- Instagram is just gonna basically cover all bases. I mean, is there a point to Threads then, other than just compete with Twitter or X? I mean, as of right now, I don't see any point of it. Even with the so-called metaverse. On to the last topic, which is phone features. Well, look, they removed the headphone jack. They removed the IR receiver or infrared. I mean, a lot of Androids had it. They removed the SD memory card expandability. I mean, they removed the fingerprint. I'm sorry. They removed the home button. You know, to me, it's just easier to press the home button. They removed the battery, the removable battery feature. I mean, LG is not here anymore, so you don't have that music amplification capability anymore. I mean, seriously. I mean, and phones are getting more expensive these days, and everything is becoming a closed ecosystem, because that's what Google is doing. Android is not as free as I shouldn't say. Android is not as open as it used to be, and Google is at fault. And same with Apple. And I mean, all I can say as of right now is that if you're thinking about buying a smartphone, don't even buy it full price. Wait for it to go on sale or do a trade-in. And if you're lucky, you know, someone is selling their new phone because they made a mistake, or they just don't like it anymore. We do that, and to me, that's what I'm gonna do later on. I'm not gonna be spending money on these new so-called phones these days, because they're putting less and less features nowadays. I mean, think about it. The HTC 10 had a front camera that had OIS and autofocus. Even today's phone still don't have a front camera with OIS and autofocus. Are you serious? I mean, I just did a thoughts analysis and rant on the Samsung Galaxy S23. And it's pretty obvious that these phone manufacturers, only two things they care, okay? CPU and the camera. That's it. I mean, they're not talking about their OS. They're not talking about music anymore. They're not talking about the hardware inside other than the CPU, because they're still selling phones with 128 gigs storage, which to me doesn't make absolute sense these days. And you still pay a lot more money. And then you have Apple that is basically running out of ideas, so they decided, you know what, to keep, instead of keeping the price the same or lowering the price, we're going to use titanium. Again, does Apple not know that titanium is not scratch resistant? Titanium scratches more than steel. Like, I think titanium probably scratches either the same or less than aluminum that they used to. But I know when they had the iPhone 11, they had steel. So it doesn't matter. Just because people think they're using exotic materials, which is not really exotic. They think it's tougher. I mean, actually, that could be one way, but the thing is, it's gonna have scratches, and there are people out there who don't use a case, and so, I mean, not only that, I mean, Samsung even had a heart rate monitor in the back of their camera that you can measure heart rate. I mean, what happened to that? I mean, that would have been that even now that would have been helpful, but they don't really care anymore. I mean, in the end, these phone manufacturers don't even care anymore. All they care about now is just selling you phones with not a lot of features but a higher price so they can keep their margins. And so that basically concludes this Mr. Informal podcast 231. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition of the Mr. Informal podcast 231. Hopefully I gave you new news that you have not heard before. I gave you some insights and give you my own take. And if you did enjoy that, I do appreciate it. And so, wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And so, again, please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MISTERINFORMAL, and check out my website, mrinformal.com, MRINFORMAL.com. And so, I will see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.